There's a whole other factor involved here. Okay? And that whole other factor is the Baldur's Gate 3 factor. Okay?
Oh, that Game of the Year contender that you've been putting off playing for multiple months in a row now, despite everybody and their brother asking you to play it? Now all of a sudden it's a factor? The Baldur's Gate 3 factor. I kind of like the ring to that. We should keep this up.
And the thing is, you might say, well, Baldur's Gate 3, what are you talking about? Well, ever since Baldur's Gate 3 came out back in the fall, people said, well, you're going to play it. And I was like, well, there's no time. It's all the new releases of the year out right now. I don't have time for it.
Yeah, but you deliberately skipped it despite people asking you to play it when it came out, when it was the new release. And you continue to skip it despite everyone absolutely screaming from the rooftops that it was their game of the year. It was the best thing they've played in a long time. So let's not sit here and act like it was all about time constraints. This was a deliberate decision that you made, DSP, and it's a decision that you continue to make multiple times despite a lot of people in your chat asking you to play it. Now, whether or not they're LARPing, I don't know. There is a good possibility that a large majority of your chat is asking you to play Baldur's Gate 3 at this point because they know it's not going to do well and you're gonna hate it. But that's kind of the community that you've cultivated over there in your chat. So you've got no one to blame but yourself for that one. But to sit here and act like you only skipped it due to time constraints and other game releases, you're just lying to people's faces.
Okay? Maybe I would play it in the future. I'm not sure. You gotta understand, Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that's gonna be insanely long. And here's the problem. We already know we have several high-profile, big new release RPGs coming out in the next several months, right? In January, we got Like a Dragon, Infinite Well. In February, we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Those are absolutely going to take priority over anything else that I'm doing.
And this is what I'm talking about. He's got people in his chat asking him to play a specific game. They're saying that they'd show up in support for it. They said that they want to see it, but he's only thinking about getting those day one views from Like a Dragon and Final Fantasy VII for some reason. Why isn't he focusing on playing games that people are actually asking him for, not just brand new releases that people may or may not even be interested in? I mean, didn't he just finish playing a Like a Dragon game not that long ago? I know it's not the same genre, but it's got the same world and similar characters. Hell, maybe even the same characters in some parts. Doesn't he think that his ADD-riddled audience is going to be a little bored seeing the same world so close together like that? But for some reason with DSP, it's always just about those day one views. I just don't understand this mentality he's got. And look, I'll acknowledge that Like a Dragon and Final Fantasy are actually franchises that he enjoys. Well, kind of enjoys because he hated Final Fantasy 16, but that's besides the point. So maybe he is really interested in playing those games, and I agree that he should play games that he's actually interested in playing. But how many multiplayer streams of Call of Duty did we get? How many more times are we going to play Warzone when he absolutely should have been playing Baldur's Gate 3 like his audience was actually asking him for?
So if Baldur's Gate 3 truly is a 40 to 80 hour RPG, there's no way I'm beating it in time for those games, which means I could play it and put it into my schedule and balance it with everything else. But when those games come out, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to literally have to go on hold. Okay? And there's not much I can do about that. You have to understand that. That's just the case of what's going to happen. That's reality. All right? And you'll have to wait. Maybe later in the year we bring it back and we finish it up or whatever. Right?
But why would it have to go on hold? Why wouldn't you just finish the playthrough and then go play the other games afterwards? Why wouldn't you just play the game that you're actively playing to the end and then just put off the other ones instead? Hell, maybe by the time that you actually get around to playing those other games, they might even be on sale. So you could save a little bit of money while you're at it. I don't know why 2 brand new releases would take precedent over a game that you're actively playing already. I mean, I've already said why. Obviously, it's the day one views. I completely understand that that's his mentality. I just don't get it. No rational person would think this way. And that's before we even start addressing the fact that if he really wanted to play the game, he could absolutely make time here and there. I've already mentioned before in previous videos, by cutting the bathroom break, by shortening the pre-stream, by not wasting all of that time stopping the game to read super chats and that. I mean, the dude's live for what, 5 hours on the first stream? And he's only playing video games for about half of that time. And I use the term playing games very loosely. If I were being more accurate, I would say he has the game launched for about half of the time. But for about half of the time that the game is launched, he's just reading chat and responding to people who are sending him money. So he's actually playing about an hour and a half's worth of video games in the span of a 5-hour streaming session. What a professional gamer.
So I guess we have to see, right? So here's the thing. Why am I bringing this up? Because yesterday, live on this show, I opened up the nominations for the Christmas Marathon event. Okay?
Oh man, if you guys didn't see that short that I posted, Old Man Types Message, you guys are really missing out. He did the classic old man DSP style message typing where he says everything out loud and it is excruciating to listen to. My short can only be a minute, but he actually went on for 2.5 minutes typing out a message like that. And that was for the members only post. He made a second post after that and did the exact same thing for the general viewing public. It really just goes to show how little he cares about the things that go on during his stream, because typing a message for that long out loud like that is just, it's unacceptable behavior. That should not be content in your stream. Nobody wants to hear that shit. I mean, really, how difficult is it to just schedule a post to go up and then it can just go up while you're live? Because it doesn't even matter whether it goes up before or after you talk about the subject. As long as it's auto scheduled, you just tell people at this time it'll go live. Make sure that you go check it out. It's just low effort and it's embarrassing.
So if you're not aware, if you type !Christmas into the chat, the link will pop up right now. Or if you are not live on stream, it's live right now on the community tab. I posted up the thread yesterday. Or if you're a channel member, you're in luck. Channel members get priority. You have your own members only thread on the members tab of DSP Gaming. Okay, so anyway, right now nominations are open for the Christmas Marathon event. You are nominating games for me to play during that event. And let me tell you, absolutely the #1 game nominated right now is Baldur's Gate 3.
To nobody's surprise, I'm sure. Not even DSP is surprised about this. Which I think just goes to show you that people actually want to see him play the game. Even if it's for nefarious reasons, people want to see it. And I don't blame them. I think that it's going to be a spectacle because he is just going to be absolutely miserable and hate the game. And that'll be entertaining for me and therefore you.
For sure. That's the one that most people are suggesting. Unlike previous years where people was like, oh, Fallout 3 or Oblivion or Fallout New Vegas or Skyrim. This year, the big one is Baldur's Gate 3. That seems to be the one everyone wants to see me play. Okay? So, if this is a consensus, if this is an agreement, and you guys really think Baldur's Gate 3 would work, then I would consider it. Alright? But, it's a big but.
It is a big butt DSP, kind of like the big butt that was twerking on top of the car in the GTA 6 trailer. I'm sure you're very familiar now.
Alright? Because I think it's still full price as well. Let me take a look here. I'm almost positive that Baldur's Gate 3 is also still $70.
Mr. Burnell? Hello, Mr. Burnell.
Yep. $69.99. And I have a hard time dropping $70 on a game that may not pan out to be a full playthrough.
But you didn't have a hard time spending $70 to play just the multiplayer aspect to Call of Duty this year? That wasn't a difficult thing for you to do. That wasn't hard to justify. You thought that that was a good idea, but playing Baldur's Gate 3 and spending $70 for that was just not in your wheelhouse? And notice that he's talking about it not being a full playthrough. Not that it would have to go on hiatus, but that it straight up wouldn't be completed. Because he knows right now, before even playing it, he's not going to play it all the way through. He's not going to enjoy it. He knows that. And if that's the case, he just needs to say that. He needs to be upfront and say that he's not interested in it. But for some reason, he's just incapable of doing that. He just won't tell his audience that he's not wanting to play the game. I know, I think it would be a good idea because people love Baldur's Gate 3 and it would be really entertaining for me nonetheless, regardless of whether or not he enjoyed it. But I'm willing to respect his choice if he just says that he doesn't want to play it and he's not interested because he doesn't like those kinds of games. That's fine. But because he's not explicitly stating that, because he's not communicating effectively with his chat and instead just trying to pussyfoot around everything, I think he should play the game that they're asking him to play. Also, I would be remiss to point out that he has a difficult time spending $70 on Baldur's Gate 3, but spent over $300 on a fight stick and rebought Street Fighter 6 for the PS5, and bought the Ultimate Edition to MK1 so that he could not play it early and rage quit after just a few sessions. That was an easy choice for PP Burnell though. He thought that that was a good idea. But to spend money on a game that people are actually asking you for that they want to see? Absolutely not, dude.
You know, this very well could be something that I buy and we play it a few times and I don't like it. If it ends up being another Pillars of Eternity, I'll tell you, not Pillars of Eternity, I'm sorry, a Divinity Original Sin 2, this is going to be a pretty disappointing outing for me. I'm going to be honest. You know, you guys hyped the living shit out of Divinity 2 for me. You're, oh, well, when you finally get to it, you're going to love it. I played it, and I'll be honest with you guys, I thought it was all right. I wasn't in love with it like you were.
Now, I'll be upfront and tell you straight up, I was not around when he was playing Divinity Original Sin 2. I was taking a little detox break from the guy. But from my understanding, when people talk about how DSP felt when he was playing Divinity Original Sin 2, he was not having a good time. He did not think that the game was okay. He hated it. But if he's really that worried that he's not going to enjoy the game because it's too much like Divinity Original Sin 2, then why doesn't he just look up some gameplay? Why doesn't he watch another streamer just do some random part in the middle of the story so that he can get a general idea of what the game is going to be like? That way he can straight up tell his audience if he watches some gameplay like, hey, I seen it, I kind of saw what the game looked like, it's just not going to be for me, guys, I apologize. Because like I said, that's way more respectable than just sitting here and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and never being upfront with people and just tell them that you're not interested. Not to mention you're going to actively waste your audience's time by playing this game if they vote for it. Why don't you just tell them that you don't want to play it and they can vote for something else? They can vote for something else that they actually want to see you play. But because DSP's a coward and can't just tell people how he actually feels about something when it's actually relevant, he's just gonna waste everybody's time like he always does. He loves to give you his opinion on everything under the sun except for things that actually matter.
I thought it was just okay. You know, so the characters had interesting stories and stuff. The gameplay was the problem. That combat is too fucking tedious. It's so slow paced and strategic. I just didn't get into it. I don't like a fight that takes 40 minutes. And that was frequent during that playthrough. Every time you fight, it's a 40-minute fucking fight. It's like, dude, how is this fun?
DSP just hates thinking when he plays video games, and that's pretty obvious. If he can't just shut off his brain and win, he's not interested in playing it. If games were really designed how DSP would prefer them to be, every single game would just be a power fantasy where you always win and you're just a sick badass all of the time and there's no challenge. Any sort of strategizing or pre-planning or utilizing your tools to your advantage, DSP's just not interested in doing any of that because he can't be bothered to think that deep about something. This might be his job. He might be a professional streamer. He might claim that he takes this very seriously, but he doesn't want to be here. He's not interested in trying, and that sounds too much like work.
It's actually quite disappointing in my opinion. I just didn't like it that much. And I played 60, I really tried. I played 60 hours of Divinity 2, and I took all of your advice, and I tried to do everything I possibly could, and after 60 hours, everyone agreed it was boring.
That's not necessarily the story that I was told. I actually heard that you got very decent support during Divinity Original Sin 2, all the way up until the point where you quit, because I believe OIC said that you could quit and it would be okay, and then you did. If any of that is incorrect, please let me know in the comments. Let me know that I'm wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be spreading any sort of misinformation about how that playthrough went, but that's the story that I received.
Including me, we're like, dude, this playthrough just doesn't work for my format. It doesn't. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, personally, from my perspective, what to do here. All right, instead of doing anything major, we could do filler. Maybe we could toss in Sea of Stars. We could do a few indie games.
And that should be a red flag to DSP. You should not be describing your content as filler. That's not something that you're supposed to think or say about your own content. I understand that everything has filler episodes. Hell, even real life has filler days. Days where you're just waiting to get to the weekend, or, you know, you've got something big coming up in the week and you just need to get through, you know, Monday or Tuesday to get to Wednesday or whatever. I understand that. But you shouldn't feel that way before you get there on your own content. Because you make your content. It's up to you to make sure that your content is never filler. It's always supposed to be entertaining and interesting to at least somebody. Hell, even when I make these videos, sometimes I understand that the thing that DSP was talking about the day prior that the video is going to be on isn't exactly the most exciting thing on the planet. Take, for example, that sandwich video. But I went out of my way to try and make it as fun and as interesting as possible, and hopefully people enjoyed that video because I had a blast making it. But I wouldn't describe that as a filler episode. That wasn't something that I was just doing until DSP did something that was more exciting. Because even if the content isn't the most exciting thing on the planet, you can make it more interesting. You can add your own flair and personality to it and make it something that it wasn't before. That's kind of the whole point. Self-describing your own content and your own streams as filler it's just a bad sign, dog. You shouldn't feel that way.
Or we could just write it out with RoboCop, Warzone, some Modern Warfare 3 standard multiplayer, Street Fighter 6, and Like a Dragon Gaiden until Christmas. And then maybe after Christmas we make a couple decisions, okay? We can figure that out. Or we could start something significant. We could start Lords of the Fallen. We could start Baldur's Gate 3. But I'm not sold on any of these. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know out of any of these what works and what doesn't.
Well, that all really depends on what you mean by it works. All of those games work. You could play any of them. You could fit any of them into your schedule because you design your own schedule. You're your own boss, and in reality, you can play whatever you want, whenever you want. You very clearly don't care what people want to see, or you would have been played Baldur's Gate 3 by now. That's why it's so strange to me that he's sitting here having this quote-unquote conversation with his audience trying to determine what he's going to play, because he doesn't care. He's really just going to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and justify it however he wants.
And the problem is all the games you guys are recommending are $70 games. It's not like, oh, this game went on sale for $30, so it's not a big deal. This is a big investment. It is. It's a lot of money to put into a game that might be dropped.
And I have to agree with DSP here. $70 for a game that you're going to wind up dropping is a lot of money. I wouldn't necessarily describe it as an investment, but it is a lot of money to be spending. But that's why he should be upfront and honest if he doesn't want to play the game. That's why he should do a little bit of research and find out whether or not that game is going to work for him and his style of content. But just like always, instead of actually looking into something, DSP's just going to sit here and ponder at his audience and hope that somebody's going to give him the answer that he wants to hear. Which in this case is just a bunch of people telling him, oh, DSP, don't worry about playing Baldur's Gate 3. Who cares if we want to see it? It's all about what you want, buddy. Why don't you do what you want to do?
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I really don't know what to do. Now, it's funny because some people are like, oh, well, Baldur's Gate 3 has a game trial, 2-hour trial. Well, first of all, a 2-hour trial is not even enough probably to start the game. It's an RPG. How are you supposed to judge an RPG on a 2-hour trial? Number two, to get the 2-hour trial, you have to get PlayStation Plus Premium, which is like $20 a month. So you're paying $20 to play the game for 2 hours. How does that make fucking sense?
Well, ideally, you wouldn't be paying $20 just to play the demo or whatever. You would actually utilize some of the other benefits that come with paying the $20 for PlayStation Premium. I guess if that's the only thing that you did after you bought the PlayStation Premium, if that was the only benefit you utilized, I guess kind of that, yeah, you paid $20 to play the demo, but that would just be stupid on your end. I would hope that if you actually did that, that you would try and do something else with what you spent your money on.
That's a ripoff is what that is, right? You'll probably just get out of the character creator, start to play the game, and the time fucking runs out. So forget that shit. That's a waste of time.
So Phil has the mental capacity to understand that the character creation can take a long time and that he only has 2 hours during the demo, right? But he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand that he's only going to be playing for 2 hours potentially, and that he should probably just rush through a character creator so he can actually experience the game. I mean, if he was really that worried about it, he could just ask for a build from one of his dents or just look something up beforehand and say that that's what he's going to run in the demo just to try it out, and that if he actually enjoys the game, he'll make his own build later. But of course, that's pre-planning. That's actually thinking about something before it happens, and like we said before, DSP's just not willing to do that. It sounds too much like work. He'd much rather use it as an excuse so that he can bitch, moan, and complain on his stupid pre-stream.
Andy says you can find Baldur's Gate 3 cheaper if you look online. How? I'm playing it on PlayStation. How can I find it cheaper? I have to buy it and digitally play it on PlayStation. How could I find it cheaper? I don't know what you mean. I'm not playing it on PC. It's going to be on PS5. Everyone says the PS5 version's gorgeous. If you're going to play it and you have a console, play it on PS5. I could play it on my mini PC. I'd have to nerf the graphics. Why would I do that? Play it on PS5, play it on Max, right? Physical copy. All right. I'm going to entertain this. And if I can't find a physical copy for cheaper, someone's getting slapped. Let's find out. You ready? Ready?
And I know that he threw in the clown laugh because he thought it was funny and he maybe was joking, but saying that to your audience is unacceptable. And by starting off the sentence with, okay, I'm gonna entertain this, just kind of shows what your true intention and motive is behind it. It makes it very clear that you think it's a stupid idea and that you don't think it's true and that you think that you're wasting your time. And I know that this is out of DSP's comfort zone, and we'll see that very soon, but you can 100% find cheaper codes for Baldur's Gate 3. All I did was type in Baldur's Gate 3 PS5 code, and it sent me to a website where there's multiple key sites that you can go to, and they're selling them for about half off. Like I said, I know that this is out of DSP's comfort zone. He would not be buying from these third-party key sites, but I just wanted to inform you that this is 100% true. It is possible to do this.
What the fuck? I put in Baldur's Gate 3 PS5, the top match, Armored Core 6.
Jesus Christ, we figured out why the guy doesn't actually look anything up. It's because he really doesn't know how to.
Baldur's Gate 3 isn't even on Amazon at all. I'm searching right now. It's not even listed on Amazon. You can't even get it. Nope. It lists every other game and not Baldur's Gate 3.
Real talk, why is he specifically looking on Amazon for Baldur's Gate 3 like it's going to be cheaper there? Why didn't he just go on his search engine of choice and type in Baldur's Gate 3 and look from there? Why was his first instinct to just go to Amazon? He's just such a consumer, dude. Jesus.
Yeah. So you can't even buy, all you can buy is merch. That's it. Merchandise. So, can't get it off of Amazon. Alright. Let's go to, what, Google?
That's probably where you should have started. The silence is deafening.
Let's see here.
Very meaningful content, Dave. Thank you.
Wow, on eBay, they're selling it for $79. That's interesting. They're actually selling it for more than the digital price. Like, what the fuck is that? You're an idiot. Right?
If you ask me, that actually makes way more sense than the way it is. It makes sense that a physical copy of a game would be more expensive, being that they actually have to make a plastic case for it to go in and actually put the game on the disc and send it to you. It's never really made any sense to me whatsoever that digital games were the same price as physical games to begin with. They should be at least a little bit cheaper, being that they don't actually have to distribute the thing physically. Whatever, that was a tangent. I got derailed. I'm sorry.
No. There's nothing reliable that I can see. There's absolutely nothing reliable that I can see. Like, I can see a few places that are considered indie sellers. Those will never be here even by Christmas. That shit will never be here. You know, the only way you can get something fast is to buy it from a big box retailer, like Walmart, Target, you know, those places, or Amazon. You'll get it within a few days. All these other indie places, oh, you can get it cheaper. Yeah, you'll probably get it for $10 cheaper from some third-party website, and it takes fucking 3 weeks to ship. And they charge you for the shipping. So, no, it's, you know, people always are trying to, they act like there's these crazy deals online. Doesn't exist.
And this is why I mentioned the key sites earlier, because DSP doesn't mention them, and they do exist. But I like that he's putting down all of these smaller retailers and that you have to go to a big box store to get things on time. That's just the way it has to be, dude. That's why he's a consumer. It's not because he wants to be, it's just because that's the only reliable thing to do, obviously. Totally forget that these other places are just as reliable and probably have even better customer service than the big box stores. Don't worry about that. And I understand that that's not always the case, but to just instantly put them down like he knows everything and then claim that you basically have to go to these mega corporations is insane behavior. Mr. Anti-Big Business, Mr. Small Business, Mr. Average Joe, and he only shops from Amazon. He only shops from big box stores.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
You know what you're talking about. Honestly, I hate to say it. Yeah.
Do you want to say something, DSP? Too much of this video is dead air.
Yeah, it's not reliable. I'm looking at it right now. No. Nope. Nope, it's $70. Okay, it's $70. So, absolutely, in my opinion, not worth it. Okay. Oh, really? Ellipsian says there's rumors it might get a Game Pass release announced tomorrow at the Game Awards. You think so? Well, I wouldn't buy it today regardless, because we have a few days to figure this out. Here's what we really need to figure out right now. Okay. Am I going to play Avatar on Friday or not?
Spoiler, because I made this video obviously after he found out whether or not he was going to play it, and the video is also coming out on Friday, so no, he's not going to be playing Avatar. If that was something that you were interested in, if that's something that you were genuinely excited for, I don't know why, but that's just not going to happen.
I'll do a poll right now in chat and let's see what people have to say. Let's find out, okay? But that's what I'm feeling. Yeah. At this point, after talking with you guys, seeing these reviews and everything, I think that Avatar is going to end up being a skip. I'm sorry, but I really feel that way. Now, and you're right, Orange says, either way, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win, because what about that Christmas poll? You're right. Because the Christmas poll, so many people want to see Baldur's Gate 3, likely I'm going to end up having to get it anyway. If anyone has a recommendation of how to get it cheaper than $70, or if anyone wanted to contribute to help get it, that would be cool too. You know, whether if you could donate it or something, that's up to you. I'm just saying.
At first, I wanted to call this a sneak beg for Baldur's Gate 3, but this is just an absolute beg. He's straight up asking somebody if they want to see it that bad to just donate it, because the $70 price tag is too much. Absolutely unreal. This guy isn't willing to buy the games that he needs to play on his stream to continue making money, to continue paying his bills. Playing the games that people want to see is just out of his price range somehow. It's just astonishing. All of the stupid shit that DSP DSP pays an exorbitant amount of money for, like the constant door dashing, the constant Hogan pulls, all of that gin from Total Wine. But he claims to not be able to afford to buy the games that he's supposed to be buying for the very streams that pay his bills. This is supposed to be part of the $5,000 of business expenses a month, but I don't quite see him spending the $5,000 a month. I mean, I personally see it, but that's because I follow TJ Gamebox on Twitter, not because he's actually spending the money how he's supposed to be spending it on his business.
If anyone wanted to help, he really wanted to see Baldur's Gate 3. Because really, I'll be honest, the $70 price tag, after the game's been out for so many months, the $70 price tag is what's holding me back from just saying, yeah, let's just do it. That's pricey for a game to be out so long and still be full price. So...
And I have no idea why he thinks that this game should have already been discounted by now. Not only are people heralding it as their game of the year, but it has a lot of replayability and it hasn't even been out that long. There's games that have been out for literal years that are still full price. Based off of how DSP talks, you'd think that he's used to Steam summer sales, but he only plays on console. He doesn't know what cheap games actually look like. Like I said, I just don't know where this guy gets off thinking that Baldur's Gate 3 should be discounted already.
But we'll see what happens, and like I said, I'm not in a rush to start it this week anyway. No, it's not on Xbox, it's only PS5. It's PC and PS5 only. So...
till December when it comes out on Xbox, which is when you're supposed to be playing it anyway, so you could play it on Xbox. But that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed DSP talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and the potential that he might actually play it. It's looking like he's going to be forced to. I know a lot of the detractors are looking forward to him being miserable playing it, as am I. So hopefully it lives up to the expectation. Another big shout out to Doody Streams for the clip in this one. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you, thank you. And of course, big ups to everybody who watched the video, especially those of you that made it this far. Really appreciate it. And a special big ups to all of my members. I really appreciate that. You guys are all awesome. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor channels and dive deeper into that Snortex.